Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today is Inktober day 4 and the theme is underwater. So of course I decided to do a mermaid, and I had struggled with sketching a mermaid last week when I was doing my mermaid art journal page. So I grabbed this book. It's really wonderful. It's called Figure Poses for Fashion Illustrators by Shah Tamasibi. And I got this a few months ago to help improve my figure sketching skills since I don't have any life drawing classes around anymore. So I figured I could just kind of use these as a guideline. And that's what I did actually. I began with one of the pictures in the book and I just sketched it. This book also has a CD. I'm thinking of maybe printing some of the images out large and then making some stencils that I could like spray ink over or something. But anyway, I sketched out in pencil to begin this project, and then I kind of just drew a tail on. I basically wanted to get the torso, and I sketched it in pencil last night because I was having a really hard time with the arm in the kind of upper left hand side, and I thought maybe if I just let it sit for a bit, then it would look fine in the morning. And it did look fine in the morning. And what I'm doing is inking with some waterproof Pitt pens. I'm going to speed it up though because this took me about a half an hour and I don't want the video to take that long. Oh, and I'll try to put a link to that book in the video description so you can find it if you want. So this made my inking so much easier since I spent the time to do the pencil sketch. When I sketch, I have very like choppy, rough lines. I'm very loose when I sketch. I'm going more for like accurately getting things down versus getting it perfect. So when I saw on Jake Parker's website that it was okay to do a pencil sketch before you do your inking, he's the guy that invented Inktober, by the way. I'll link to his website so you can kind of get a little more info if you want to. So when I read that he was cool with doing a pencil sketch first, I was like, oh, that's good, because I didn't want my mermaid to have an awkward shoulder situation like she did in the last one that I made. So it really made the inking a lot easier. So now I'm using a plastic circle template to do some bubbles, and I really like the way this this layout was. I feel like it had a nice flow through the picture because I have kind of like an S or kind of like a zigzag formation to guide the eye through, and I just really liked it. And I erased my pencil lines right over the pen. It's a technique that I do like to do. Just make sure your pen's dry so you don't smear it. And now I'm going in with another finer pen and putting in a little just a hint of scales on the tail and some, just some details here and there. So the pens that I'm using here are Pitt pens, or the ones that we're just using actually, and they're waterproof, and you can get like a set of 4 for under $10. They're really handy. So these colored inks are the Mermaid markers from Jane Davenport, which I have been using quite a bit lately. And what I like is that I can put a little bit of ink down and then I can smear it around with some water. So it's kind of fun, and it gives me like a watercolor look almost. When you're using these pens though, a lot of ink can come out, so it can be very handy to just kind of like scribble out the pen onto a piece of plastic and then carry it around like I'm doing with some brown, just so I can get a little bit of a shadow rather than going right in with the pen where it could stain some of your paper. I'm working on a hot press watercolor paper, so it is accepting the inks really well, and this is the small Jane Davenport journal, which I've been doing most of my Inktober stuff in, with the exception of my alcohol pens. I'm going in with a light wash of this kind of minty green color for the tail and the hair, and now I'm going to use the shimmer pen, which I actually have to shake up to get the shimmer to get mixed through. I'm using that for the fins, and I'm also going to do a little bit of shading like on the edges of the tail as well to kind of give it a little bit more fullness. And you can leave some areas lighter and then go back in and blend. These pens do blend really well, which is nice. It's just kind of a fun product. I got some of these back in January when they first came out, and then Jane sent me some of the newer colors, and they're just fun. I really enjoy them. I think if you like working with brush pens, you'll enjoy these. They're a lot more juicy than the Zig pens that are really popular with like stampers and whatnot. Those real brush pens from Zig do not like expel quite as much ink, so it just depends on what you like. So now I've got some spray ink, and I just make that myself with some ink and water and shimmery watercolor in a spray bottle, and I decided to go and just spray in some backgrounds so my mermaid would look underwater. And I should have put my piece of cardboard under that page before I sprayed it, because I did get some ink on the next page, but I'm not going to worry about it. I actually think those little splats and splashes on other pages that kind of leak through help me as kind of a jumping off point so that I'm not like fussing and fretting and festering about a white piece of paper. And I also like to shake some ink into the wet background because it kind of, gives me some neat speckles and some cool background effects that, again, fill in the design so I don't feel like I have to paint in every little thing or sketch in every little thing. It just gives me a little bit of almost like a bit of ambiance or setting or background. And anytime I'm starting a new color, I just squeeze it on that plastic sheet so that I can get almost like use it like a palette basically. I do have a little palette that I use for these, but there's a reason I'm doing it on this plastic bag, and you'll see that in a minute. And I'm just kind of going in and filling in where I think I want some more water. The key is for this to look underwater, so I'm totally fine with splashes and that blue ink kind of smooshing on over the mermaid. So I took my leftover ink and I just like pressed it down onto the opposing page in my art journal, and I figured that will either be a jumping off point for another sketch, or maybe I'll just collage on it. I'm not sure, but I wanted it to kind of coordinate in case I decided that I wanted to spill over into the other sheet. I'm using Inktober as not only a challenge to get me creating every day, because I typically do that anyway, but I want to improve my speed and accuracy with drawing, and that's pretty much what I'm hoping to get out of the Inktober, and also to be a little more creative where I don't have to look at something to sketch it. I mean, I looked at the sketch of the from that book, which is all those images are copyright free, by the way, or they're royalty free. You can use them, you can photocopy them, you can do whatever, which is really awesome. So I started by looking at one of those examples to draw the torso, but then I went from there on out of my imagination. And I feel like that's something that I need a little more practice with. I definitely use reference photos as a crutch at times, and I want to be a little bit more creative. And I also want to just kind of grab these inky materials and play with them because I love collecting them, and I want to make sure that I get some use, because I find that when you shop, when you buy something, when you acquire a new supply, that's like a short-term pleasure. To create long-term happiness, you actually have to use it. You have to put the time in. Otherwise, all those supplies sitting on your shelves turn to regret. And the money that's not in your wallet can turn to regret and give you unhappiness and make you feel ashamed. So we don't want that with our art. We want to feel joyous. We want to feel happy. We want to feel content, and we want to feel productive. So a challenge like this is perfect for making you use your supplies a little more. I've got my trusty old white gel pen. This is a Uniball Signo, and I did have somebody comment that they've never had good luck with the Uniball Signo pens. So I've never had anything but good luck, and I've purchased them from Amazon for like my workshops. I purchased them in bulk there, either like 5 to a pack or more, or 3 or 5 to a pack, and then I'll buy multiples. And I've also bought them from Stampin' Up, where I've paid like $4 each for them, and I've yet to have any clog up on me. My advice with any gel pen though is to use it or lose it. So when you open it up, use it till it's gone, and then open the next one. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this mermaid sketch. I had a lot of fun creating this and sharing it with you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for Inktober Day 5. Happy crafting!